Hey everybody. I realized, hey Kevin, and hey Skeleseller, I realized that I forgot to fill out my journal for Friday. I don't know what I did on Friday. Oh, we worked on the intro for the game. Then what did I do in the morning? What happened here? Go to VOD page. Why are all these things green right now? Knock. No, thank you. Okay. What do we do? I guess we did regular like game improvements, or at least I looked into these. I don't think we got a lot done. I set up the demo page. Yeah. It's some game improvements, started on the game intro, and set up the separate Steam demo page or demo page on Steam. And today, what did we do this morning? Prepped for being on the Twitch front page and continue designing adventurers. Okie doke. Hey, Broken Crown. I haven't updated the today command just yet. I want to see what it said. All right, eat today. Adam is going to spend this afternoon doing game design for Skeleseller. More specifically, he wants to design some new adventurers. All right, he'll be on the Twitch front page on Wednesday. Cool. Cool. All right, so let's go find the notes that I took on the other adventurers. I think it was in here. Yeah. Okay, so we had the Spirit Caller class that we'd been talking about. And the way that this class is probably going to work is that they start with two different spirits. And I don't want the spirits to tank, or at least not explicitly. So, like, that's what we have so far. And I haven't answered some of the other questions yet. Yeah. So far, Spirit Caller enters the battle with two spirits. And that's all we have. And the spirits don't explicitly tank, but they can take hits. Actually, what if they didn't take hits at all? What if they were a summoner class and they couldn't be attacked? Or the spirits couldn't be attacked? Or maybe they can't be attacked while the summoner's alive? Would that be interesting? It could be interesting. So some questions. Should the spirits be able to take any damage or take hits while the, I'll just say SC is alive? Should the spirits be different from one another? Can the SC revive the spirits? I guess if not. So there would be no need for revive if they couldn't even take hits. That'd be kind of interesting. Yeah, that would be kind of interesting. I kind of want to design it as though they can't get attacked. So this character is not a tank. Because I don't think we need another like does everything kind of class. All right, let's draw a line in the sand and say that the spirits are untargetable while the spirit caller is alive. Whether or not they become targetable or they just die doesn't really matter to me too much. It'll matter to players. They'd probably want them to still live. But yeah, should they be different from one another? We could have a healer and a damage dealer. What role do I want this to fill? I think I originally said hybrid, and I don't really think they fill the role of a hybrid if the spirits are untargetable and if there's no healing. But if there is healing, how is it differing enough from the other one? I guess that's a thought here. If they're different, then the skills will almost certainly only impact one of them at a time. I kind of like the idea of building up the spirits with skills themselves, e.g., unlocking a heal, unlocking a buff, unlocking a debuff, and they can just cast all of those skills. Or maybe, no, they shouldn't get a random set. But that would give them, if we had two spirits, that would give them twice the number of skills. Yeah, if they're the same, then any skills that they can use get doubled up to the point where why even have two spirits, especially if they can't be targeted? There's kind of no point, is there? Also, if they're the same, then there isn't a super compelling reason to have two of them if they also can't be targeted. We could just make one spirit have twice the power slash speed slash whatever they're in, whatever they're doing. Starting as basic battlers and unlocking abilities as we're not getting targeted. Don't know. Yeah, there are still a lot of directions this can go in. And I want to think at a high level so far and just see what makes the most sense. I did say that I wanted the role to be a hybrid, right? I keep writing out what all the different classes are. Let's look for rogue. Yeah, so there were 3 DPS classes right now. There are 2 tanks right now, but there's going to be a third one. The Witch Doctor is kind of a hybrid class, and then the Cleric is just a healing class. And the Golem can heal itself. So do we need more healing? What if the Spirit Caller just turns into a damage dealing class? It's not a problem. I guess we could amp up the healing on the Paladin if we did that. When you say hybrid, you mean attack and support? The roles I kind of see are like damage, tank, heal, and then yeah, there's some amount of support, I guess, either through buffs for your allies or debuffs for the enemies. So hybrid to me would mean like 3 of these roles, because every character is damage already. And yeah, there's a pretty good spread of tanks and healing, and a decent spread of support. Not necessarily on other players. So maybe this is more. So if we ever, oh man, I'm trying to think about this. If we ever had a bard class, I think they'd be support, like pure support. But the spirit caller could be support and not necessarily be in the same vein. What would be the reason for having 2 of these things? And if you're starting the battle with both of them, I wonder how we end up having this work. I wonder, what if this turned into the support class? I still need to think about this. Still don't totally know what role we want for this class. It may depend on what the 10th class is. Bard to be like total support, maybe some healing. We don't need another tank. I think we got enough of that. Yeah. I do think we need a healer or some healing in these last 2 classes. It doesn't have to be this one, but probably one of them should provide some healing. We need some amount of healing. Whoops. See what just happened. Did I just quit everything? Whoops. Okay, let's reopen that. Restore. Yeah, hopefully everything's back to normal. Yeah, okay. I think everything's good. Yeah, okay. I meant to press something else and accidentally quit Chrome. So we need some kind of healing in the last 2 classes. Some kind of group healing, I guess. Or we actually don't necessarily need that. or we need the paladin to ratchet up the healing a little bit. So it's pretty much like the stuff we still need, some healing, some damage, and maybe some support. So how about we just slot the spirit caller into these things? Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. Okay, fine. So then that's what the spirit caller is going to be. That's what the spirit caller will be then. Some healing, some damage, some support. So does the spirit caller do anything on their own? What areas are available for supporting? Well, we use some of this stuff for other characters right now. We have a haste buff, a lifesteal buff, a power buff, a dodge buff, damage mitigation. So all of that stuff exists. What we don't really do right now is we don't really have one adventurer granting power to another adventurer. That doesn't happen right now. Or dodge. Or lifesteal, we have haste. Damage mitigation does happen right now. Yeah, so you don't have power and dodge being granted. Okay, do we want to steer them more toward offense or defense? Because if it's defense, we could have abilities like one of the spirits could cast like a plus dodge buff and it could stack until you get hit next. Wait, no, that wouldn't make sense, would it? No, because then you might go forever without getting hit. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Something could be interesting is that the spirits are summoned attached to other adventurers, and that's how they give support. So they could be time-based or move from one adventurer to another. The way I'm thinking about this is we'd probably implement this as a buff, in which case we could actually allow them to be attached to like all adventurers at once. Could do auras also, like a defense aura or whatever. Yeah, that's true. In my mind, that's a mechanism for how we'll give this sort of thing to another character. Yeah. Could have auras for this. Okay, well, what's interesting as a player? Like, I want to make the spirit caller work in my party. So I guess what I want to do is figure out what gaps do I need to fill in the party? Like, I like the idea of build an adventurer through this, but I don't know if that's fun. So you give yourself some healing, some power. Yeah. We could have it so that you build a catalog of skills with the spirits to fill in whatever you need. There could be some randomness for this. I had the idea of a potion master. This could be how the randomness takes place. I wonder. I was going to say there could be some like whenever an enemy dies, they go into maybe attack mode, and whenever an ally dies, they go into defense mode, something like that. Hey, Pretzel. Or I could say an AI replica of Pretzel. We'll never know. We will never know. All right, how about this? Let's fill out some of these sketches. So like we give you a heal, we give you a power buff, we give you, I don't know, a dodge buff, we give you an attack, we give you some other sets of things, I don't know, maybe like haste for the spirits themselves. What would be interesting about this as a player, I guess? And what synergy would there be? There actually wouldn't really be synergy too much here. Like if you pick heal and the power buff, you're making your other characters do more damage. And yeah. And maybe that's interesting. Maybe that's what makes this character unique. You are building an adventurer to fill in the gaps that you have. Yeah. So what would I do? And what if I want to lean completely into a power stuff? I guess I go power attack, maybe the haste stuff. And if I want to lean into defense, I go with heal and dodge. What if they're better than the cleric then? I still feel like if I think the thing that doesn't make sense is why are there two spirits here? I'd want there to be probably some difference between them. Otherwise, I think what's happening is you're pretty much just making a different kind of cleric. So the only way to make the two spirits work though is if they're doing different stuff. Yeah. Took out attack. I think everything should still do damage. I think these things should probably have an attack or the ability to have an attack. Maybe the spirit caller is doing something to power up the spirits. Maybe the spirit caller is powering up the spirits and the spirits are powering up your adventurers. It's probably not an interesting distinction to have that be the case. Because what would it be? Like gain spirit power? Or maybe this happens as the battle goes on. I'm trying to think of how this would work. I don't know. We don't even need this to be themed as a spirit caller. This is the problem with a lot of this. I had that idea of a potion master that's just throwing potions around the battle, and they'll hit your allies and heal them, and they'll hit the enemies and poison them. And like that could be this character. They don't need spirits for that. Skills unlock the abilities for the spirits that provide the buff and support, but each spirit can only do one thing at a time. So you want two spirits to be able to apply two different effects. Wait, let me chew on this for a little bit. Skills unlock abilities for the spirits to provide that buffer support, but each spirit can only do one thing at a time. Okay, I see what you're saying. Huh. Interestingly, we could extend this, send this further and allow for more than two spirits. The spirit caller could have breadth and depth. If you have the witch doctor, you may opt for depth here so that you don't fill your side with summons. So maybe you could, that would be kind of interesting, right? So each skill could go up to level maybe like 4. Max level 4. So if you want to max out heal, you'll get one really strong heal spirit. But if you want to get level 1 in 4 different skills, or maybe level 2 in 4 different skills, you'd have 4 different spirits, and they'd all do something specific. Maybe each skill has a max level of 5. What would happen if you... I'm not sure about this. Excuse me. Why not have 4 different characters? Oh, I'm just thinking of ideas right now. I'm not necessarily in love with anything I've talked about yet. And by the time we have like a final document for this, I think the class should feel cohesive. And yeah, right now there's almost nothing on paper for it to feel cohesive because we don't know what's going to happen yet with this. Yeah, I think the confusing thing here be that you only have so many slots and no other adventurer really has you manage this manually. Yeah, we'd be storming brains. All right, going back a step. So how do we get two different spirits to work? Are you picking their abilities? Are they on a cycle and they're just powerful? Is the spirit caller getting them to cast certain abilities? So yeah, you have like a red spirit and a blue spirit, something like that. The red one is mostly offense and the blue one's mostly defense. But then what skills are you getting for them? Could have a red one and a blue one, offense and defense. So like maybe the red one is doing damage. I guess the spirit caller could always be the one doing damage. Kind of like the proposition of having to choose between depth and breadth. Yeah, it would be a pretty unique mechanic for this. I think there's one other potential problem with this. One other small problem is that you would have you could have configurations that wouldn't work. E.g., getting like 2 points in 6 different skills. So we need to change how the skill tree lets you even put the points in to realize that. Or I guess we just, yeah, we could fix this by only having 4 abilities. Yeah. And then you have 4 summons, which would take up all of the battle slots that you have, right? Spirit Caller +4. Well, it wouldn't take up all of them. But yeah, something like that could work, I guess. All right. Well, what would those abilities be then? We had 1 ability per spirit. What would they be? I guess a heal. I guess some sort of damage thing. Healing ability, a damaging ability. And then like buff A and buff B. Yeah, I could see something like this being interesting. So that would account for 4 abilities of the 7. And we need to figure out what these things are. So let's kind of draft what we've come up with so far. Let's flesh this out a little bit. So draft so far, innate skills would be summon spirits. Summon 1 spirit at the beginning of battle for each active ability unlocked below. And then question mark and question mark. And then unlocked abilities. Or unlock, yeah, abilities, I guess. So this would be like heal spirit. Summons maybe the spirit, maybe call this like spirit command. Summons a spirit at the beginning of battle. Oh, you might have no spirits though. I need to figure out what happens if you have none of them. You may have a spirit caller skill setup that has no spirits. SC themselves needs to do something. Summons a healing spirit, damage spirit, summons a damaging spirit. That at least basic attacks. Yeah. And maybe we say if you have no unlocked spirits, you'll summon a basic damage spirit, maybe. I don't know. Damage spirit, maybe like power buff spirit. Summons a spirit to increase the power of allies. I don't know how that's going to work yet exactly. And then maybe like a dodge buff spirit. Summons a spirit to increase the dodge of allies. I wanted something offensive there and something defensive. I don't know if the defensive one should be dodging necessarily, But given that I don't think we're going to add in a ninja tank, I think dodging could be interesting. So yeah, so we could have that. And then we need 3 more abilities that need to do something. I don't know what. Maybe it makes all the spirits faster. Maybe there's like spirit haste. Spirits use their abilities more often, more rapidly. Hey, Jax. That could work. What else do we have that we could do? Maybe like an on-death effect for enemies. Or maybe whenever anyone dies in a battle. No, it couldn't be that because you can summon zombies. Yeah, maybe like every time an enemy dies, something happens with a spirit. Maybe they trigger their ability. Thanks, Jax. I can't take credit for that. You're related to existing characters. I thought about this a while ago with like, what if you had fake characters of the other versions? Like you had a fake warrior, fake rogue, and they just did what the warrior and rogue would do, or their characteristic ability. And I decided against that. I don't want to be too confusing. All right, so spirit haste. There could be some like spirit. What do we call this? I don't know. Reactive ability. When an enemy dies, trigger all spirits' abilities. So some of this stuff, because we can have depth, all of these things need to have depth. So this is X% chance when an enemy dies to trigger all spirits' abilities. This would only be helpful in battles that have lots of enemies, though, which is why I don't like the phrasing of this, especially given that we already have this one written down. Are they targeted at one adventurer? Skill could be they have a chance to cast on 2 adventurers. Yeah, that could potentially work. We could just increase number of targeting. X% chance to target an additional, or X% chance to target 2 things with the ability. All right, I don't think I want that, the last one that we had. So these 6 are good. I don't know what other innate abilities you'd have. And then we need a 7th one here. Could be, no, it can't increase the potency. I was gonna say it could increase the potency across the board. We could have the untargetable thing go there. We could also just put this here, like untargetable, or what should I call this? Something a little bit more like ethereal spirits or something. Spirits cannot be targeted unless the spirit caller dies. Could be an innate skill and another skill just improves it. Yeah. Think about this. Put 5 points into the heal spirit. You're probably gonna want some haste. Maybe we cap out on like 4 points for each of these things. I do like this idea quite a lot, though, how this is drafted at least. Because then if you don't care about battle real estate, you can summon all 4 spirits. And maybe that's usually better than just having 2 or 3. We'll need to nail the scaling. Balancing this is going to be practically impossible. So let's just give up on that ahead of time. Could be can't be targeted for the first X seconds and another skill improves it. No, that I don't want these to act as tanks. So if they couldn't be targeted for the first 5 seconds, it'd actually be a buff to the character to be like, oh, well, now your adventurers aren't going to take those hits. So I think it's just got to be a built-in enhance the basic one. The basic one doesn't really exist, just to be clear. It's only if you somehow didn't get any points in these, and then these things wouldn't really do a whole lot. So for the final one, what we could do is something like... Could have the concept of curses. Well, but that would be a 5th spirit, and then that means that we'd have to allow for 5 slots to be taken up. Or I guess each one could potentially curse a thing, but what if there was some like, let me think about this. they can't take damage. It could be something based on the Spirit Caller. Maybe they only tank for the Spirit Caller, like Spirit Link. When the Spirit Caller takes damage, it is, or would have taken damage, it is instead split amongst all spirits. I'm iffy on this. I don't think I like that. I don't know if anyone would pick that, especially because you have the heal spirit. So, like, wouldn't you just put a couple points into the heal spirit and then just hope that they heal your Spirit Caller? Skills to improve it, so we're always sure you have a useful spirit. Otherwise, we need to guarantee you get a spirit for your first skill you unlocked. Yeah, that probably makes more sense. Like, they start as a damage class, I guess. Like, summon damage spirit. All right. I think there's some, like, I'll just write tweaks. We always need the Spirit Caller to be able to do something. So maybe the damage spirit is inherent. And then you could potentially like max out 2 other spirits or something like that. That's also potentially a problem though. Like what if you wanted to go all in on the power and dodge ones? I guess you'd always have space for them. Maybe the basic one gets converted into another one. What if... Yeah, the chance to cast at higher efficiency, I think would be kind of interesting. Targeting and like potency, X% chance to cast with plus Y% power. Or maybe that's what the Spirit Caller is doing. Spirit Caller could be boosting their power over the course of the battle. So their heals are actually getting better and their power buffs are getting better. But then isn't this like a super overpowered character? I guess if the Spirit Caller themselves isn't doing anything, then it comes down to how powerful is their one spirit that they start with. And we do need to think about this in terms of like, what if you just had the archer there instead of them? Like, they got to do something on their own. Okay. Summons a spirit at the beginning of battle. If you have no unlocked spirits, you'll summon a basic damage spirit. Yeah, I don't think this is a good idea. Not totally sure how we want to change this. So let me think about this. What if an innate could be summon damage spirit, and another innate could be summon extra spirits. We call them extra. What if it summoned a random one if you didn't have any of the summons? And it was just like, it was level 1. I don't think that'd be interesting, especially because then you might go fishing and not have anything to do damage. Yeah, I think you need to have the damage one there. They cast slower but more potent. I don't want to have trade-offs in the game, I think. Not like that, at least. I want them to all just be straight up buffs. So they might start out pretty slow by default, and we rely on you getting some of these other things to make them better. All right, an innate pretty much has to be summon damage spirit, right? Or we change it to spirit command, say something like summon a damage spirit and any other spirits you have unlocked. And this is improved damage spirit. Improves the damaging spirit. Yeah, that's probably a better way to theme this. Okay, let's do that then. At the beginning of battle. All right, so heal spirit. Summons a healing spirit. Summons a spirit with a heal ability. Summons a spirit with the ability to increase the power of allies. With the ability to increase the dodge of allies, dodge chance of allies. Spirits use their abilities more rapidly. X% chance to target 2 things with an ability. Potency, X% chance to cast with plus Y% power. All right, so the sort of questionable ones are still here. How many do we have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, yeah. So we need a 7th one, and then we need the other innate one. Triple cast or quad cast. Well, the reason I kept it at this of X% chance to target 2 things is that you might not always have enough targets for it to matter. Also, I wonder if spirits can target other spirits. And I don't want it to decrease the power of that, but you'll usually have 2 targets. Because remember, this is just one class. And I mean, you can see the battles playing out over here. You can have 4 characters in a battle. So if you want more area of effect or nuke abilities, then like put 3 other different adventurers in your party and have the spirit caller be the 4th one. And they're buffing the other characters that are doing these abilities. All right, any other crazy things come to mind here? Some like, I think having some kind of linkage between them all could be interesting. And maybe we could kind of do something like spirit power every X seconds do something, and X is lower based on how many spirits you have. X is, how about this? X is just based on how many spirits you have. 1 spirit is like 10 seconds. 2 spirits is, I'm just making up numbers here, 7 seconds, ... 4 spirits is like 3 seconds. I don't know what the something is. And this would encourage you, if you got this ability, to have all of the spirits, which I guess you just put a point in each one. So you'd be spending 4 points and then a point here, and you'd be left with like 2 more. Also, I guess we have to consider what happens with the random unlock order. This would be really, really bad. This is the first skill you got. Summoner, yeah, spirit caller. I'm trying to come up with a 7th. Okay, so let me give you an overview of the class. They start the battle with a damage spirit, and then any other ones that you unlocked. So the 3 unlocks are this, this, and this, and they do what they say, right? They either heal, they give you a power buff, they give you a dodge buff. So you could have up to 4 spirits. But here's the difference in this class. These spirits can all get to like a max level of 4. So you might choose to invest really heavily in like the healing and the damage one, in which case you spent all of your skill points and you got really good healing and damaging. Or maybe you spread them out over all 4 of these, and now you start with all 4 spirits, but they're not as good. It's going to be quite the hog when it comes to skill points. In fact, maybe the max level should be 3 on this. Max level 3 or 4. I'll write this down for all of these. This one, and this one. Maybe for an innate skill, to get extra haste and power. When you have more spirits, they get more haste and less power. And when you have fewer spirits, they get more power and less haste. So the only thing I don't like there is I feel like we're being a little bit redundant with the core mechanic of like, you can choose to invest in a lot or you can choose to invest in a little. And if we have another innate that says like their haste and their power changes, it's pretty much that same like, oh, hey, you either have a lot or a little here. Interesting to see if there's ever a reason to choose anything except heal. Well, I was thinking if you're just farming an instance, you might choose like power and damage. And if there's a boss, you might choose dodge and maybe, I don't know, dodge and power, dodge and heal, something like that. So yeah, I'm not sure how it'll all pan out, but in theory, there should be a need. Okay, the potency thing is kind of interesting. Of all of them that are written down so far, I think it's the most straightforward, but I also think it's probably the most synergistic with all the rest of these. Like they get haste, they can target more things, and they can do more damage with their thing, or more efficacy, I guess. Could also do something like extra effect. Each spirit gains a secondary effect, e.g. the healing one. Oh my god. The healing one can cast a heal over time. I don't like this, actually. I'm not going to write that down. I don't like this. Well, the extra, that's pretty much what this potency thing is, Dota. So X% chance to cast with more power. The power would affect each individual thing. So more damage on the damaging one, more healing on the healing one, more power on the power one. Yeah. And yeah, of all the ones I'm leaning toward this for right now, I just don't know for sure. Because like I said, it is the most straightforward, and maybe there's an opportunity to do something a little bit more interesting there. But maybe we should jump back to this for now. What is the last innate ability? The last innate ability. So right now, the Spirit Caller doesn't do damage on their own, but their damaging spirit does, and it's always alive while the Spirit Caller is alive. So it does kind of already do damage. What other innate thing could we have? Something what we could do, and this is kind of cheating, we could say something like use ability. The Spirit Caller commands the spirits to use their abilities, and we say cooldown is like 5 seconds. And then instead of spirit haste, we're really increasing the haste of the Spirit Caller. So if the Spirit Caller's dead, then all the spirits stop functioning. They would just act as tanks at that point, which is kind of interesting. But it does mean that if you're in a one-on-one battle, that the Spirit Caller will just get killed and their spirits will do nothing. I guess the battle will just end. Hey, TJ, I'm doing well. Yeah, how are you doing? Instead of power buffing, it lowers enemy damage. Yeah, but healing and damage are already opposites of each other. So it would end up really just kind of modifying these two. I sort of like this idea. This means that when the Spirit Caller dies, the spirits stop doing anything. They would still act as tanks, I guess. But maybe in that case, when the Spirit Caller dies, all spirits also die. In which case, this doesn't need to be an ability at all. This ability doesn't need to exist. Skill reduces the cooldown on it. It's kind of interesting. Wait, no, but all the spirits are going to exist, right? I think you'd want to give the haste to all of them. I kind of like the idea of there being an extra hasten spirit thing. Hastens one spirit. I mean, should the spirits all die? If they don't die, no, I don't think they should all die. Yeah. It's gonna let you hasten more spirits then. So remember, downside here is we don't know your unlock order. So if you unlock this thing first and it just says your extra spirits are hastened and you don't have any extra spirits, you're gonna be like, oh, I gotta spend more money. I got a useless ability. So I think this should hasten everything. Because everything so far in isolation is good right now. And I'm hoping that the last innate ability unlocks something in my brain that's like, oh, here's what the final thing is. First level unlock are the spirits, and the spirit buffs are second level. Well, each spirit only does one thing. So like unlocking the heal spirit will make it heal. If it was just unlocking a spirit that was like a blank canvas, then it wouldn't be doing anything at first. Or maybe what you're suggesting is like level 1 is, heal 5 life, and level 2 is heal like 15 life. That's already the plan. Yeah, that's already what's going to happen. So they'll all get better as you put points into them. Okay, let me think about this. Well, the spirit caller is basically going to be doing nothing. They're just standing there. Maybe we need them to do something probably. So yeah, I feel like spirit caller will do nothing after they join the battle. So this would at least make them do something. And I think powering up, maybe they powered up with the potency buff. Oh, they might be giving it to something that's not very helpful. Maybe, be kind of interesting. No, never mind. I was gonna say, what if they could like regenerate life on their own, but I don't think that's very interesting. What else would they be doing? Well, what is this stuff that they're casting? Like even the witch doctor doesn't technically do anything on their own except for summon things. But the witch doctor just keeps summoning as the battle goes on. The spirit caller starts with all the summons they're ever going to get. Power buff would have to be a spell. Well, the power buff is what the spirit's doing. I mean, it could be that the spirit caller is buffing the spirits. Just dances and distracts them. Could we somehow make that work? Maybe channels them into existence. No, I think they should start the battle with all of them. Otherwise, one of the problems is, since they have to summon 4 things, is they have to wait for 4 cooldowns. And that means that whatever amount of time that is, let's say it's 6 seconds, it's like battles don't really start until 6 seconds in. The concept of reviving them doesn't really make sense. I feel like it's augmenting a spirit somehow. Alternatively, they could have a magic missile or something like that spell that just damages an enemy or two. It's not really helpful. And it's not augmented by anything. I don't think any character has a skill that doesn't have, or sorry, an innate that doesn't have something that modifies it. No, looking at these, every single one of these has something that modifies it. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So that would not be a good idea. So this is bad. Just implying the cast of a new spirit isn't instance. Right. I'm saying from a game design perspective, it doesn't make sense for us to have a character start a battle without, like a summoner start a battle without being able to get its summons quickly. If there's no guarantee you even get the one that does damage at first. Like imagine if you're just fighting a bat in the forest and you summon the healing one and you're like, then you summon the power one, you're like, okay, I guess I have more power now. And you summon the dodge one, then finally you get the damaging one and you win the battle after like 7 or 8 seconds. And it's like, oh, your archer just shot an arrow and won in 1 second. It just wouldn't be fun. Yeah, it probably has to be something with augmenting the spirits. But we already have some of these. I guess there's overlap with what we have below. Well, I mean, usability. It could be usability. This is what commands them all, or it's, yeah. This is what commands them all to do the thing that they're supposed to do. So they're all doing it at the same time. Yeah, that could work. And then we just improve the haste of this usability. That's what I'm leaning toward right now. And we probably rename this thing. This is like summon spirits. And then this is spirit command. Makes all spirits use their abilities. Cool down like 5 seconds. will it be controller compatible? I'd like to get it to the point where it is, but it's not currently, at least not very easily. Yeah, so instead of Spirit Haste, this is like improved Spirit Command. The Spirit Caller uses Spirit Command more frequently. So when the Spirit Caller dies, the spirits just stand there. Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, it does seem like it feel bad. All right, fine. What if while they're alive, it's granting all of them haste? Yeah, it could be that. Hastens all spirits by X%. This is kind of silly though, because whatever the baseline is might as well be 0%. So that this doesn't even exist. So it's not really an innate. Do we have a precedent of doing that in the game? I kind of, or not really, no. I was going to say that kind of counts, but it doesn't count. No, none of these. None of these work like that. The witch doctor is the only one where I kind of phoned it in. But yeah, everything else makes sense. This is the reason why I said I phoned it in, because the witch doctor has an ability that says your zombies bite stuff. It's not really an ability. That's a zombie ability. Yeah, I think the idea of them powering up a spirit is probably best. And it's always effective too. So yeah, let's do that. So empower spirit. Grants a spirit plus X% power for Y seconds. And note each spirit benefits from power. Hey, Lloyd. Lloyd, are you the person who left feedback about music recently? Because I've been reading through the responses, but I did not. Hang on, let me take a look. But I didn't respond to one of these things, and I think I was going to reach out to you. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, I don't know if you want me to respond publicly, so let me know if you don't. So I won't respond until you say that, because I'm trying to keep everyone's information private, of course. I just assumed feedback was negative. Why? It's fine if you do. Yeah. So, okay. High level. One, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Two, I've been trying to do all the music myself, and there are kind of two reasons. One, at this point, is ego, but two was cost. I've been trying to keep the budget of the game to less than $500. And granted, the way I'm accomplishing this is with a lot of contingent revenue sharing. Of like, if the game does well, then a certain amount of revenue gets shared. And I guess the same thing could be done for music, but I guess that brings us back to reason one. It's like, I already made like 4 tracks and kind of want to continue, but I did appreciate the feedback that you wrote, and I will eventually officially process them and then probably like come up with what I want to do based on that. But yeah, thank you for playing. Let me take a quick look and see if I've gotten the package I'm supposed to get today. No, I have not. Yeah, thank you, Lloyd. I do want to check out, though, the music that you've made. And I was assuming I'd be able to find you by searching for you. More the nature of people to complain rather than praise. I think people are pretty forgiving when it's a demo of something. And actually, you know, I've been reading some Steam reviews lately where even though they're negative reviews, people are still like, you know, this just needs more bake time, or they just need to fix these couple of bugs. I do wonder how many people go back to their Steam reviews and change them in either direction, negative to positive or positive to negative. And I could see positive to negative happening when there's a big update and it makes the game worse. I don't think many people would do it because they played for 5 hours and it was fun, and then they played for 2 more hours and it wasn't fun. They'd probably just wait to do the review. But negative to positive, I can see why it would happen. I just don't know how many people actually go back and try a game after there have been updates. It happened with No Man's Sky. right, am I happy with these things? Summon a damaged spirit and any other spirits you have unlocked at the beginning of battle. Spirits cannot be targeted unless the spirit caller dies. Yeah, and empower spirit. Grants a spirit plus X% power for Y seconds. Yeah. I don't even know what Solana is. What is that, Ron? Is this a cryptocurrency thing? Pirate One by Microsoft was also similar. Those are games that transformed a lot. Are you talking about Sea of Thieves? Was that Microsoft? Who made this? Rare and Xbox Game Studios. That's it. Okay, yeah. Crypto, yeah. No, I don't. Actually pretty excited for the release. I feel like some people actually do go back and edit their review. Can't say it's a large number. I have noticed it. Yeah, and I think updating in both directions is helpful for the populace at large. Like if a game became bad, like Risk of Rain 2 released their DLC and it just tanked all their reviews. It's good to know that as a prospective buyer. Okay, so we got rid of all these things here, right? Yeah. And then what does that leave us with? Grants X% power for Y seconds. We could just have improved empower spirit for this. That's what this could be. Improved empower spirit. And maybe this is like make empower spirit more potent and or last for longer. Yeah. Okay, so here's what we have listed out. Whew. So let's copy paste this and let's put this here and let's delete all the stuff that we're not going to have. So here's the final draft so far. Delete all of this stuff. Delete these. These pluses here were just for the sake of me talking to whoever I was talking to at the time. Does this look cohesive? Just reading through. I think so. Oh, Spirit Command is not the name of a thing anymore. What was that supposed to be? Oh, God. What was that supposed to be? I think it was just spirits get haste. Yeah. Maybe I'll just call it like spirits use their abilities faster or more often. You can power spirit more potent and last longer. Yeah, so we have what, 7 of these, right? 3, 6, 5, 7, yeah. Ooh, okay, cool. You thought about tokenizing your work? What do you mean? Because the answer is probably that I don't think it'll help. But yeah, I'm not totally sure what you mean by that. Like turning your projects into crypto coins. But how do you turn a project into a crypto coin? I mean, I've heard of people having crypto coins be baked into their games. And I've heard of people selling maybe like drawings or music or something. Oh, you're saying like, yeah, connect the currency to the game. No, I don't think I'd want to do that. What'd you get for lunch today? I'm having pizza in about 10 minutes. I had a chicken sandwich and an apple. What kind of pizza are you getting? By the way, Ron, please do try to be careful about segmenting. Hey, bye, Bob. Skelecoin. I might buy some of that. I wouldn't mind making some little, like a plush garbage slime and have some little Skelecoins come with it. They could be chocolate coins, actually. They could be coins made of bone. People would love those. Okay, so we got to lump this into here. I'm pretty happy with this. I think this is cohesive. So let's go figure out where we write this. Where is this? God, I can't find any of this. Golem. There we go. We don't have a graphic for this right now, but there's going to be Spirit Caller. And what do we say there? No picture yet. They are considered a Versatile healer slash support slash damage, but not a tank. Not a tank. Very important to write that down. How's progress been? Um, it's been going okay. I don't think it's been as much as it usually is. On Wednesday, I'll be on the front page of Twitch, which is why you see this running on the side here. I set something up so that I could have the game take up, like, let's say I move this window over here. Let's say I have VS Code taking up like this much space. I made a hotkey I can press that'll just immediately put them back to how they used to be. And it'll even start up the game and set it into a scenario like this and follow customers around automatically. And that way people on Wednesday will be able to see the game playing out even when I'm not focused on it. So I think that'd be really cool. Got 3 kinds of pizza. Nice, nice, nice. I feel obliged to ask only because it is adjacent to pizza and what you've told me in the past. Are you still keeping up with your steps? All right, so we have all these things. I did not paste this in yet. Let's paste this in. Innate skills, unlockable skills. Yeah, I guess we just call this abilities. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So I originally wanted another tank. I don't think so. We have a healer summoner now. So the last class would just be a damage dealer. Take more of an interest in software and game dev. To be honest, I don't think they are. The front page thing, the way that this works is partners can just apply and then they look over the applications every once in a while and they prioritize the people they've rejected a bunch of times in the past. So I applied 3 times and got accepted this once now. And this will be my 2nd time ever on the front page. But now there's a formal application process. It used to be that you had to email some like random person and then cross your fingers and cast a summoning spell. Now you just fill out a form and they get back to you in a couple of weeks and they say, yes, you got in, or no, you didn't. Been hitting 10K steps every day. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I think the cross accountability is really good. I've been doing this for years now with a friend of mine. And I mentioned this on stream before, where we have something we call the pact group. And we each have some like X number of times per week that we're going to exercise. And all we pretty much say on the group is something like Pact 1 or Pact 2 or Pact Complete or something like that. And then we congratulate each other. And we've been doing this for years and it's been pretty good. I think it just serves as a reminder that you made this commitment and you can motivate each other. So I think it's awesome. All right, so if we get one more class, if we get a damage dealer, we'll have 10 classes. And the split so far with the above is damage, damage, damage. I should probably write it like this. Damage 3, archer, rogue, mage, tank 2, warrior, paladin, healer 2, no, 3, 2.5, cleric, spirit caller, paladin. No, tank is actually 3. There's the golem as well. But we can't count it this way. We need to count what the primary thing is. Yeah, so I guess get rid of them from here. Is that correct right now? We're up to... No, that's not correct. What am I missing? Oh, witch doctor. What do we call the witch doctor? I don't know, hybrid? If we're going to do that, then we might as well write the paladin in here too. All right, so that's the correct number that we have, and we need another one. No, that's kind of dumb. No, let's put them back here. Oh, I guess then the spirit caller would be hybrid as well, huh? Oh God, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what we're missing. That's the problem. I feel like I'm getting a super special behind the scenes look. I think it's nice to watch something get made. Unfortunately, the progress is usually so slow that you got to wait months before you kind of see certain things pan out. Like we're designing these classes and each one will probably take about 3 days to code. So in 2 weeks we can get the remaining 3 classes done. But then it'll probably take some tweaking and balance testing and everything. So all right, so what do we have? I mean, 2 of the characters up here also have healing. So our number of total healers is really like 3. Damage. I think we just need another damaging class. Yeah, I think that's it. So final class is a damage dealer. All right, let's go figure out what they are. I think we started writing something down about a berserker and a heavy hitter and a potion master. Let's go take a look at these things over here. All right, character that either does more damage at low life or does more damage as the battle progresses. Perhaps they have an auto revive, in which case they may be themed as a vampire. Start the battle with low life. We only have 1 non-human adventurer, right? The golem. Should we make another non-human adventurer? I don't think I should worry about that. Yeah, that's just art. We don't know what the mage is. That's true. It could be anything under that hood. Just 2 floating eyeballs. I like this idea of doing more damage as the battle progresses. So I kind of want to think about that for a bit. So the idea of doing more damage as the battle progresses is interesting. One inherent problem is that it means that battles need to last long enough for this class to make sense. Maybe there's an ability that makes them keep some of their plus damage buff across battles. But that's exploitable. Unless maybe you're just repeating battles. The ring wraith. So I've always talked about this in the past, but imagine you have 2 abilities in just any game, right? You have a fireball and it does 5 damage, and you have poison and it does practically infinite damage over, I don't know, 100 seconds. Maybe that's a bad example. Maybe let's say it does 100 damage over 100 seconds. So it's basically doing 1 damage per second. And now let's say you're fighting enemies all have 5 life. Poison is worthless, even though it does 20 times the damage, because you're going to kill everything in 1 hit anyway. This is the classic problem with having anything happen over time, which is that unless your battles actually take that long, then there's no choice to be made. And yes, I know that other games could have resistances, maybe something's fire immune, sure. But yeah, the way we're talking about this here is like, hey, the berserker gets stronger as the battle progresses. Yeah, that's great, but that means that there's going to be like an average kill time. And if it's longer than all your other adventurers, then there's really no reason to use this. So I wonder, like, this is kind of how the paladin works with mitigation. They use an ability, and every time they do, they gain like 0.5% mitigation up to a max of, I don't know, something like that, 15%. I'm not sure what it is. Hey, blessed. And actually, I guess also this is how the mage works with empowered spellcasting. They get plus 0.5% up to a max of 50%. So I don't think it makes sense to theme an entire character around this. Let's analyze what the damage classes what we have right now are. So what would we even say the archer is? Oh, by leveling up, I'm going to change how this thing works. They're all about like haste, attacking quickly, and dodging. The rogue is about killing the weakest and dealing heavy damage. It's pretty much killing single targets. especially the weakest in dealing heavy damage. The mage is about casting a barrage of spells. So they all kind of play on speed a little bit. And that's what I was thinking of with this last one. A class that just had a really long cooldown and it just absolutely destroyed whatever enemies it touched. But yeah, it took a long time. I mean, what else could we do? We could make like a crazy AoE character. So ideas, a character that hits every enemy at once. Maybe its damage is always split amongst them all. Kind of like that idea. So it's always hitting everything. More power and fortitude when at low health could work. The low health thing, here's my general thought there. In games where you can control this, maybe you can like stay away from the fray or you can use a healing potion or something. You can dance around that like 10% life value. In this game, you're not controlling who's getting hit. So you need them to have an ability that's like, oh, just like increase my dodge percent by 90% when I just get hit down to 10% life. And if you can't do that, then they're always going to be close to death. And then we also need a special accommodation for them when they regenerate after battle, because they're always going to be close to death. And we can do both of those things, but I just wonder, does it work for Skeleseller? And then, the other final thing here is that like your cleric always targets whoever's about to die. So now you have like anti-synergy with healers with that. So I think we need to retheme it into something else. Like as they get hit, they're doing more damage. And it's not based on their current life value. Do you have experience in game dev? Yeah, I do. I've been making games pretty much since I started coding. And I've released a few. There aren't really a lot that are online that you can play. There's one of them. And here's one you could find out about if you wanted to. Yeah. And there are a whole bunch of projects I never really finished or got off the ground. And then a bunch of small projects too that we did finish and that just aren't playable without me running them on stream. Just have to split amongst them all. Would you even want this character? I guess you'd want a damage dealer. So this would be something that prioritizes many enemies. That's only good against many enemies. It's not open source yet. It's being open sourced. Is this interesting? I think it's interesting. I wonder what theme they would take on. Yeah, I'm not sure. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know how we would do this. Like, we could have just changed the mage to do this. Could have just been the mage that works this way. Like, lightning zaps can only target unique enemies. Yeah. I'm just not certain this is all that interesting. The Witch Doctor already targets the enemies with the most health. I guess splitting damage amongst the enemies is different from targeting all of them and just doing nothing with the overflow. Hmm. Okay, well, there was that. I guess there were these other ideas that we had written down here. A character with really slow attacks that does a lot of damage, and a character that does more damage as the battle goes on. Are there any major gaps in how this stuff works? Man, I really like the idea of the spirit caller, by the way, and the golem too. I think they're really cool. I think part of the reason why is we're designing them all with the hindsight we have from all the other designs, so we know what pitfalls to avoid. Well, I had some other ideas written down here. I guess let's look at some of those, because maybe some of those will spark larger, more suitable ideas for these abilities. I hate how this thing works. Okay, let's just look at it from over here. Affects all of your abilities. We don't have a whole lot of other things, huh? Every second this character goes undamaged, gain a buff. We already have that. Every second the battle goes on, gain a buff. Gets stronger based on life missing. Pair this with a self-revive buff. If you die within 3 seconds of using this, you instead come back with 10% life, limit twice per battle. Thorns, counterattack, infuse weapon. We've used pretty much all these ideas already. Yeah, we used that. Applied damage dealt a second time. We used that. Something weird is going on with tooltips, and I've been seeing this happen, and I've just been ignoring it. But somehow tooltips are popping up even though the mouse is over here. I don't know what's doing that. Huh. I wonder if it's only when the character on the right side goes near an item. No, it's not happening now. Strange. Oh, I had an idea actually that I hadn't mentioned, which is kind of interesting, but not exactly what I'm trying to come up with right now. But what if the way we had a hard mode was through an adventurer? So imagine something like a thief class, and each skill is something like plus X% loot and plus Y% monster difficulty. And then there was another one which is like plus, I don't know, X% like quest progress or something. And all of them had the same drawback. So like the more skills you put into this character, they're not actually improving their damage or anything. They just always have some really weak attack. But you start getting benefits from them. And by having them in your party, they're taking a slot from somebody else. So you're pretty much saying instead of 4 people in my party, I'll only have 3 people. And yeah, a thief would kind of make sense here. Except for I don't know how we'd come up with 7 skills for them. But maybe that's the point. There aren't 7 skills. They're just difficulty levels. They have 1 skill. And it's basically like risk and reward. How much would we want to rely on something random? Something like every time the adventurer attacks an enemy different than the last one, they gain power. In those cases, what we're doing is we're saying that in battles with lots of enemies, they're going to be better. And it's going to make it very hard for a player to evaluate how good that character is going to be. So it's not problematic on its own. It's just hard to evaluate. There's a cord that's stuck around here. Hang on one second. I do kind of like that idea of a shapeshifter sort of class that just turns into a copy of your other adventurers. I guess if it was like a clone summoner or something, that could work. Sorry, there's a heating pad for my poor back. All right, there we go. Those pesky players. Well, we'll probably need to give them feedback in another way eventually too. I think we are probably going to eventually allow you to hover over characters in the battle and see what they're doing or what buffs they have. But yeah, this idea is something that I think is pretty interesting. The thief class. It's just not what I'm trying to design right now. All right, well, let's say we just went with a slow attacks thing. What would we end up doing? We have some like mystery class, and their innate skills would be some like heavy attack, like 7-second cooldown, tons of damage, and heavy AoE attack. Maybe this is like 10-second cooldown, tons of damage. I don't even know what the last thing would be. Maybe it's like improved damage every time you attack. So then what are their unlockable skills? It can't just be do a lot more damage. And I guess this is the problem we ran into with all the other AoE, or sorry, all the other damaging classes, is that at some point you exhaust the ideas that you can come up with. It's like more damage, faster. Yeah. It's do more damage, do it faster. That's pretty much what all of those work out to. This is, yeah, pretty much all the same. And I guess the same thing over here too. Except for that dodge ability. Yeah, that's it. It's all do more damage, do it faster. That's pretty much what all of them boil down to. Skills that mostly boil down to do more damage or do it faster. It almost makes me wonder if having 7 skills is the right way to go. I think it is. I think having some choice is important. Yeah, if you got another attack with this, this is kind of how the warrior was supposed to be themed. They have the crush ability, and crush has a chance to miss. And then you can do certain things based on whether you miss or whether you hit. The archer always or also has that chance to miss with their ability. So we could add something like that in here. Or maybe like every time they attack, they'll actually take more damage next time. Maybe they are like a slow hitting berserker. They gain power when they take damage. And they have some mitigation ability, but only for themselves. Or maybe a heal. I guess you just pair them with a healer, though. Yeah, maybe no mitigation. Improve damage every time you attack. So it's just like the longer you survive, the more you're going to do. Unbridled rage. Remove the limit on how much rage can scale. So the longer the battle goes on, the more you'll do until you're just doing like infinite damage. You basically rename this character into the Fisher. This is a questionable idea for sure. All right, take care, Lloyd. Yeah, I'm only going to be streaming for probably another hour, maybe a little less. I'm actually waiting for a shipment. I just ordered a Mini Freak, and it should arrive in the next 3 hours. I'm very excited about this thing. It'll be the first hardware synth that I've owned. So yeah, I might do a stream with it at some point, although I'm sure that'll be painful because I don't know how to actually make good sounds. But enjoy your nap. Have a good one. So So their skills can be around how they gain power. And we got to have some like, I don't know, I'll just write down some ideas. So when at less than 25% life, gain even more power. Or maybe they attack faster. Upon hitting an enemy with the heavy attack. I think having it take more damage wouldn't make sense. In fact, I think a lot of the warrior abilities would have worked really well on this character. Like the enemy having a chance to miss. Counter-attacking. I don't want this to just be warrior, but not a tank. Because the warrior is a tank. This would be one that's all about like taking damage. In fact, maybe they have something here that says like they take double damage from attacks. Then you'd pretty much have to pair them with a healer though. Also, this with the spirit caller would probably be pretty crazy, or the witch doctor. So I guess you're trying to make them not take damage. Yeah, maybe that's what we do. We say they're a glass cannon. Thanks, Lloyd. Could be that they build up the AoE, start attacking one enemy, then two. So my gut feeling is that slow attacks have no real place in this game. And against a boss, a slow attack that keeps doing more and more damage would be pretty interesting. But then why would the AoE matter? So I'm not sure about improving that amount. Yeah, I'm not positive. Hey, Oculus, how you doing? Welcome in, and thanks for the raid. I want to make sure you're the person I'm thinking of before I start talking to you. Because I don't want to say something wrong. Yeah. Okay, you are. Yeah, you were making the MOBA kind of game, right? Imagine how you're making the horror game about Hello Kitty. Yeah, how's everything going? How's your game been? Yeah, MOBA and Dungeon Crawler. Oh, I didn't know there was a Dungeon Crawler aspect to it. I played a game on Steam whose name I am almost certainly not going to remember as I start to recall this. That was a MOBA Dungeon Crawler, and it was pretty good, but I don't know how I'd find out. Can you see like which Steam games you played? There's probably a way to do that. I don't know. Shape of Dreams? Yeah, I think that was it. Shape of Dreams. Is this it? Yes, this. You might want to take a look at this. I thought this was pretty good, actually. I played with a couple of my friends. Yeah. Yeah, it has a demo. Yeah. I think it's going to release this year. Yeah, how's everything going on your game? For those new here, I'm working on Skeleseller, which you can see on the right here. It's a very laid-back game where you are sending adventurers into battle and then selling the items that they find in your shops that you have, and then upgrading your adventurers, upgrading your town. And it is currently in demo. I'm going to be on the Twitch front page on Wednesday, which is what we were prepping for today. So I've got a bunch of tasks I want to do on Wednesday. So if you want to see me play it, I think Wednesday's the time. And then we'll be in Next Fest in June 9th. So it's all about prepping the demo for all that stuff. Then we got to work on new content. So I'm designing some of the new content. We have right now in the game 7 character classes, and they all have 7 abilities, or well, technically 10. So it's quite a lot to design, given that this is a single player game and that you're not directly controlling these characters. And we're trying to come up with what is the 10th character class. So I designed an 8th and a 9th. They haven't been coded yet. And I'm hoping we can come up with something cohesive here. So I think some kind of glass cannon would be good. And yeah, I wonder how we theme this stuff. We need 3 innate skills and 7 unlockable ones. What's up with the tavern here? It has something to do with the adventures being followed with the camera. So like if I click this, we got to find a character who's actually near the tavern. It's not, there's no one who's near it. I guess I can just increase the size of the window. Come on. Yeah, I think it has to do with rendering in integer coordinates. I'm not positive though. I feel like I saw you doing web dev, then all of a sudden you had a sick game. If you're talking about like either a year and a half ago or like 5 years ago, then yes, you would have seen that. But yeah, I haven't really done web dev in the last year. I've been working on Skeleseller pretty much since April of last year. When did I start this? First day was April 17th. So we're just past the 1 year anniversary of working on this game. Yeah, it's been quite a trip. Where'd this design go here? Yeah. All right, upon hitting an enemy with a heavy attack, yeah, this is where I started to get into warrior territory here of like make the, oh, let me have this follow a character. Make them have a chance to miss, or I don't know what. I wonder if this is the one character that should have like an on-kill effect, that when they get the kill, it does something, maybe improves their power even more. But if everything they do is just improving their power, I think something should make them take damage as well. Maybe their attacks all have some kind of recoil to them. Yeah, so random ideas. Their attacks could have recoil and they damage themselves. So you pretty much need to pair them with a healer. Some of the warrior stuff could shift over to this character. They could have an on-kill effect, but just from their own abilities, not whenever an enemy dies from another adventurer. Actually, this doesn't really make sense, right? I was originally thinking like on hit, hitting an enemy lower their chance to hit. This was intended as a damage mitigation move. And then what else? We had on hitting raise their damage dealt. Get power, cause them to miss, take less damage, uses more rapidly, decrease their power. Okay, there's a wild idea. What if when you hit an enemy, it increases their power, but maybe makes them attack slower? No, I don't think that's fun. Wait, or is it? Because there's a bunch of dodging stuff in the game, and dodge gets better if you're making your enemies attack slower. And what does this mean if it's only this character in a battle? Could they die at the fishing pond? I think I wrote somewhere that you can't lose a fishing battle. So we'd probably need to say something like, this shouldn't be able to kill you, or else you could lose a fishing battle. Oh, how funny. I think I like the general idea of this. Let's put a star there. This I don't think I like. They get a on-kill effect, but just from their own abilities, not whenever an enemy dies from another adventurer. Yeah, I think the issue we'll run into with any of this stuff is slow attacking means that any quick battles are going to be a pain. Maybe there's a skill that says something like when entering a battle, or enter a battle with X% of your regular cooldowns. And this could say something like level 1 could be, actually, maybe this should just be 1 level. Maybe this only has 1 level and lowers the cooldowns to 0. So you start the battle and immediately do a lot of damage. It's awesome your stream shows up on the Steam page. Yeah, I've got a bunch of notes that I take, and they're all public, and the one that is allowing me to do that is here, if you're ever interested in trying that. I stream to 3 sites just right from my computer, so I'm not using a third-party service. But yeah, YouTube is one of them, and Steam, and then Twitch. To be honest, I don't think it's worth streaming to Steam. I don't think anyone checks this. The view count that you see is just from people who happen to be on the page already. But like, if we show chat, I don't think anyone ever chats here. I don't think anyone is ever watching from this page. He ignores us here. See? Yep, I do. Fail to send message? What? What was that? Fail to send message. Can I send it from over here? Ah, I can. Okay, weird. Okay, this is kind of cool. I mean, so far we're building some stuff up. I think this is good. Tons of damage. Rage, improved damage every time you attack. Maybe we say recoil. Attack has recoil and will damage the whatever we're end up calling this mystery class. Hey, Cybervara. Sorry, I'm checking my phone a decent amount because I'm supposed to get my shipment today. Still not out yet. I'm getting a new instrument. Gain even more power. Okay, I mean, I like this. I like this. I only wrote half a sentence here. What else do we do with this? Because I don't want to have them attack faster regularly. I guess the Claire can help them attack a little bit faster. Also, they're probably going to just kill every regular enemy in one hit, right? Is this even all that interesting? Maybe they can only use their AoE attack when they've killed enough things. The problem with that is that it may not align well. Maybe it's really like frenzy. Every X attacks go into a frenzy and attack X or Y% faster. These X attacks can occur across battles. This would be the only adventurer that actually has some persistence in between battles other than their life. It's an idea, at least. It's kind of interesting. Actually, it is pretty interesting. Okay, this is very interesting. So, like, most battles, they're not going to attack a lot faster. Every X attacks hits a second enemy. I think it's all a question of whether this thing stays here or not. This heavy AoE attack. Also, you can see that tooltip thing happening. It stopped as soon as I mentioned it. But somehow some tooltips were showing up over here. I still don't know how that's happening. So do they have this? Maybe they don't have this. Then I don't think rage is all that interesting, though. Improved damage every time you attack. So they just like auto kill an enemy. That's one of the things that you kind of need to picture when you design something like this. Like if you're attacking once every 7 seconds, is that pretty much it? Let's say you killed the enemy every single time you attacked. Is that even worthwhile? So are other characters taking longer than 7 seconds to kill an enemy? Because oh, maybe there's like an overkill thing. Overkill. Extra damage dealt to an enemy when killing them is transferred to another enemy. Or transferred to another enemy. And maybe I write like, maybe this finds the enemy with the highest life. Or maybe this can chain. So you kill one enemy and it just wipes out the whole party. That's kind of interesting. I'm actually surprised that this is yielding results. Just like trying to come up with ideas based on this stuff. But yeah, we can write down what Kevin said here. Another way of framing this is that is every X attack 2 targets at once. So this is probably not in. Maybe overkill could increase experience gain or transfer a rare drop. So there's no experience in the game, but a transfer a rare drop could happen. I don't think it's probably suitable for this game. You can see the game playing on the right side. Like you do have auto battle. So whether or not you get rare drops, you'll just battle forever basically, and you'll keep finding stuff. I think if we were to have rare drops that you could affect the rates of, we'd probably have like a thief class or something, or maybe just a perk for your town that lets you upgrade. Like imagine this said like plus 5% chance to find a rare item. I think that could potentially be interesting. Also, welcome in, Dante. Be fun to have people trying to get a one-hit kill, one-hit wipe. Yeah, part of this stuff like this kind of makes me wonder, is this going to make people go fight in the forest for 4 attacks and then flee the battle and then go fight in a different location? Maybe this only works when auto battling in one location so that you can't cheese a boss battle. Then again, what do I care? What do I care? All right, so this definitely has to be there. It's got to have an attack, otherwise it doesn't do anything. It's got to have an attack, and it's got to have 2 other things. I think overkill is really, really interesting, so I think I want to keep that. And then frenzy, I like for now. I was thinking making it class specific would be more fun. Make certain classes more sought after for a certain style of runs. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot to this equation that's hard to succinctly articulate. But in general, you've got your kill speed, and you can have multiple parties. So like here we have 2 parties fighting, and you could always start a 3rd battle too. So I could open this up and send my rogue into here, let's say. So now I have 3 battles running. Then you have all the perks for selling things, and like this slime can critically eat stuff. So if I feed it enough times, there, like it just critically ate that potion or the cloak or whatever that was. So finding rarer items or more items might not necessarily be desirable. And then you also have this spell that says you get a chance of finding more items from battle. So there are a lot of little things you can do to affect this. Again, it doesn't preclude having the rare item drops. It's probably going to fade into static given that you have so much going on at once. Which is why, at least for right now, the adventurers only modify the battles themselves. Let's have them flee this battle. I want everyone acting as a worker. Are all items passive buffs? Items aren't equipable, if that's what you mean. They're not even usable. They're only sellable. So there are no buffs from items. I'm trying not to go down like too traditional territory with this game. Hence the no experience points, no equipment. I think when you're talking about an automated game, things work a little bit differently, and that those aren't necessarily fun things for this game. And I've got like some little essays and video essays and stuff I've done on this topic. So gather more items, sell more items, grow the town. Yeah, that's generally how it works. Yeah. So like the way this is for this little demo thing, we have most of the town built out. Like there's a farm, you can click these crops and it gives you wisdom sludge. You use the sludge to level up your adventurers, and that will give you more skill points, which you can use to put in skills, assuming you've unlocked them. There are quests you can go on to get more workers. There are perks for a lot of different buildings that you can use to upgrade your stuff. So like this little spell casting thing I showed you up here, we can get more mana for our mana crystal. We can get more powerful spells. We can get auto casting, which puts these little buttons in front of them, which lets me cast a spell, or this thing, which lets me potentially cast 2 spells at once. So there are a lot of ways you can improve that item selling machine, either by improving how fast you're killing stuff, or by giving you more adventures so you can fight in more locations, or by giving you more items or letting you sell them faster. And I think so far it's turning out pretty well. I've been taking feedback for every single demo I've launched, and I know this is biased that people are going to respond to this, but most people seem to be having fun with the game. And the latest feedback survey, where is that? Is here. And yeah, this is like 50-50 between agree and strongly agree they had fun, and then one neutral person. And yeah. By the way, feel free to try it if you want to. There is a demo on Steam, and it is mostly what you see here, minus like a couple of very minor things. So whatever the overkill an enemy, it deals AoE damage to the other enemies, but also has a secret counter for overkills, and after X amount, you unlock a hidden class that deals boss damage. It's just not really how class unlocks work in this game. Like, one of the things I'm trying to keep is that despite that these classes all sound kind of intense, like the actual decisions a player makes is just, oh, that sounds cool, and they click this and put a point in. So everything is typically pretty straightforward in this game. So hidden unlocks are not a thing I'm really aiming for here. And especially not from doing like overkills in battle. I think it's just a very different style of game from probably some of the ones you've maybe played already. And I don't say that in a bad way. Like, a lot of people suggest things that don't necessarily fit this specific game, even if they fit the genre of game. All right, so this idea of rage, improve damage every time you attack. I like this, but I think this probably needs to last across battles too somehow. Maybe it's the thing that Kevin had said, where every X attacks, you attack another thing. What would this all mean, though? It would mean that this character would do a boatload of damage every few battles, and then like regular amounts of damage. A certain hat wearing pet. Yeah, maybe you get a snake pet, and maybe you get a top hat for that snake, but I'm not saying for sure. All right, definitely like this. Although this doesn't really work too much with Frenzy, I guess. Or does Frenzy last across battle? Is that how you're thinking about it? No, not like a confusion state. Just improve damage every time you attack. Rage sounds impermanent. I I'm so torn on this stuff. Like, part of this depends on when you even unlock this class. If you ever were to bring this character into, let's say, the forest has one bat. So like, improve damage every time you attack, you're probably going to do one attack and you're just going to win. So like, this would be pointless. Frenzy would pretty much be pointless. Overkill would be pointless. So ideally, I guess you're bringing this into the later locations, which actually have multiple phases to them. So in the final battle, there are like, I don't know, 26 enemies or something. Now that Rage would probably be great. Frenzy would probably be great. Like, all this stuff would be awesome. So this is really like a long battle / multiple enemy kind of fighter, I guess. And in that case, Rage being impermanent is fine. But in the case where they are only fighting in some like easy area, then they're probably bad. Anyway, the difficulty is mostly coming up with what are these other like 5 skills I got to fill in here. Gain even more power. I think just gaining more power is probably fine. Maybe attacking faster. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's fine. Enter a battle with X% regular cooldowns. I like this. What else? What else? What else? Well, what do we have so far in their innate skills? Overkill. We could say something like overkill can chain to other enemies. This would be something you'd take a point out of. Like, maybe we have a lot of 1 cost skills here. Like, this could only have 1 level. This could only have 1 level. This could potentially have 2 levels. What else do we have here? Something else about the heavy attack. Chance to attack 2 enemies. Or yeah, maybe that's where Rage goes. Improve damage every time you attack. This resets at the end of a battle. And we could have like Rage 2. Improve damage every time you get attacked. I don't think I like this one though. I think a counterattack on this character would be really interesting. I wonder if there's an on-death effect that's kind of interesting for this character. Frenzy could be every extra attack. Every X attacks, you do an extra attack, so it accounts for only one enemy. Then an unlockable skill could be to add a third attack there. But I think the way it's framed right now will be like an interesting thing to see when it finally happens. Like, let's say this says every 6 attacks. The way this is all set up right now, that would be every 42 seconds you go into a frenzy, and then maybe you attack like once per second. Oh, maybe not that fast. I don't know. Maybe only for so many attacks. Yeah. Hey, Goose. Hey, Darth Maul. Better stream today? Yeah, today's been pretty good. A lot of it is prepping for Wednesday. Remember, Wednesday I'm going to be on the Twitch front page. It's nothing like super special because a lot of the people who are on the Twitch front page as viewers are just passing through to get to the streams they already know they want to watch. But some people are going to see, oh, hey, there's a game playing here. What is this game? Let me find out more. So I'm treating it as marketing for Skeleseller, not marketing for the stream. I'm not really trying to grow the stream. And it's probably going to naturally grow a little bit anyway from being on the front page. Yeah, I don't think I like this one. I wonder, can we do anything else with the whole, like, you take recoil damage? I guess we could say something like when you get to, well, I guess that's what this is. When at less than 25% life, gain even more power. Maybe leveling this up makes the X change when at less than X% life. Boogers. I just went to Costco over the weekend and I was like, I wonder if that cereal's there, and I didn't see it. I did, however, buy 2 bags of Fuji apples. I love Fuji apples. Give it a calm ability for when it exits rage. Yes. Slay the Spire. Copy all ideas from another game. That actually wouldn't be too bad. Right? You start a battle with faster cooldowns. You could start a battle with... No, maybe there's something on taking damage enough times that doesn't necessarily increase your attack. I don't know what it would be, though. It's Wrath. I think it's Wrath. But I think... Hang on, what is that class even called? The Watcher? Slay the Spire Watcher. Yeah, they're the Watcher. Is Rage the name of something? No. Yeah, it's Wrath, and there's something else I'm thinking of. What was it called? Wait. I know I'm looking this up. Wreath of Flame. Wreath of Flame. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think Rage is. Yeah, Ironclad might. Well, we have 4 so far. We need probably 4 more, maybe 3 more. Can this buff your allies somehow? Maybe there's some like battle cry. Active ability to buff the party's power. I don't really think this is interesting though. Whenever you play an attack this turn, gain 3 block. I see. I played a little bit of Monster Train. I don't know how much I talked about that on stream. And I like the game well enough. I'm not sure how much I like the idea of having to play the same like game or class 20 times to get the progression. That's how Slay the Spire worked too. You had to ascend like 20 times per character. At some point, I'm just like, really? I don't think I want to do more runs. Buff the party's power. Maybe there's something like when an ally dies, on ally death ability, like attack an enemy. Not on ally though. It had to be on ally adventurer because otherwise zombies will die all the time. If there were ever a character that could revive themselves, this would be nuts. How often do your adventurers die though? This is probably pointless. Yeah, they'll rarely die. I don't find them all that fun. I'm also not that good. I enjoy doing the daily climbs from time to time. Oh, I never tried one of those. I tried ascending for a while on one of the characters, the one with the orbs. What's that called? The construct? I don't know what it's called. Defect. Yeah, defect. Yeah, and I got pretty high up there, and then it just started being unfun. Hey, buff this. You could make it a strong attack on adventurer ally. Wait, do you mean to put death there? A strong attack on adventurer ally, and maybe an upgrade that expands it to all allies? Yeah, adventurer ally death. So, okay, the risk is, and let me show you how this class works in the game right now. We have the witch doctor in the game, and the witch doctor has summon zombie once every 5 seconds, and they themselves just die by being alive, if that makes sense, because they have life drain on them. But when you upgrade this class, there are a whole bunch of things that would allow you to like super fuel this one character that you have. So for example, this, whenever an enemy dies, summon a zombie. And then this, your zombies gain a chance to take an attack for an ally. And yeah, I guess those two things. So that would make you have a lot of zombies die in battle. And then this new character we're designing is one where it's like, they're going to do a lot of damage. Could still be broken. Well, okay, hang on. That's what you said is not necessarily a problem. I think the problem is that in the case where they're not super overpowered, they're kind of just, it's kind of just an ability you wouldn't want to touch. And the way that ability unlocks work in this game is that you pay money to get a random ability, and then the cost goes up to get your next ability. So let's say you got like 4 skill points or something, and you're like, oh, cool, this sounds good. I want a point in that. And then you unlock another skill. Well, in this case, I've got enough to fuel a whole bunch of these. Okay, so here we go. I've maxed out all my skills I have. The next one I get might be like a totally different build. And now I'm like, oh, let's take 2 points out of here and put them into this one instead. And actually now rearrange these as well. I don't want it to be that it's like, oh, this skill just kind of sucks until we get to the end of the game. Now, granted, I realize we're just ideating here, so possibly that sort of thing is interesting. But yeah, this could be something that eventually works whenever any ally dies. I guess the distinction is only important for the witch doctor and spirit caller, and maybe the golem, depending on how we implement that. The witch doctor is constantly churning out summons. The spirit caller starts with up to 4 summons. And then the golem can potentially summon a mini golem once. So it's really just the witch doctor. And having a skill for just synergy with the witch doctor is probably not important. By the way, I'm happy with the progress we made so far. I'm not sold on this thing yet. I don't know about this either. Active ability to buff the party's power. You know, it'd be nuts here is if it had a lifesteal attack. Oh, it can get lifesteal from the cleric now that I think about it. Where is that? Yeah, here. Casting Blessing of Haste also grants 15% lifesteal, but only for 3 seconds. Or maybe give it a cooldown if that's a mechanic that exists in the late game. Yeah, actually, the cooldown thing could potentially work. We could just have a cooldown on this. Although I guess with the Witch Doctor, it's still the same general problem, which is that it'd be active almost all the time. Just not sure what else we'll do when it comes to... Well, what else would make... What are other games with like glass cannon characters I could kind of think about? I think generally when I think glass cannon, I think something like low defense, maybe low health, and super high power. And I guess a lot of RPGs let you customize your characters such as you end up making glass cannons, but that they're not inherently glass cannons. I wonder if there is an inherently glass cannon character in a game I've been playing. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Also, I guess that means we want this character to die. We should probably just have an on-death ability for them. Because they damage themselves. They do more damage when they're low life. They attack pretty rarely. Maybe we give them... This is kind of interesting as an idea, at least. Idea, an innate ability that says they heal to full at the end of a battle so that there's no regeneration time. Yeah, that could be kind of interesting. It'd have to be innate because you'd never choose that, I think. Made out of glass and shoots. It throws stones. Call it the glass house character. All right, I like an on-death ability here. I'm not sure what it would do. Maybe it's like dying blow. It attacks an enemy right before it dies. Maybe for like double damage. And we just expect this character to die. But then I'd expect them to have some way to get revived. And I do kind of like that idea. That this is a character that's just such a glass cannon that it dies like 4 times within a single fight. Oh man, we could do like a binary exponential back off sort of thing and have it so that its cooldown is maybe like 5 seconds at first and then 15 seconds and then 45 seconds so that eventually it's not going to come back, but not because the ability didn't allow it to, just because of the practicality of a battle length. But what would it be? I don't know, like do damage to all enemies? No, I think it should be just like double damage to a single enemy. Yeah. This can trigger overkill and chaining overkill. So wait, what else do we have here? Overkill and frenzy. Maybe frenzy can be a learned skill then, because I kind of like this idea of the innate thing. And then them having some play on them dying. Could we have a revive ability? And does that force this character to be a phoenix? Are they the only bird type character in the game? And we could just call it like a phoenix ability anyway. Death rattle, what we can call this one. Or dying blow. And maybe like heart of the phoenix. X seconds after death, revive with Y% life. If there's room in the battle. It's possible there isn't. Actually, is it possible? Yeah, I guess it's possible. Actually, that's a pretty cool theming for this character, right? A glass cannon phoenix. It's got like super life regen after a battle. It can revive itself during the battle. It does something when it dies. You want it to die, but you also kind of don't want it to die. Yeah. Hang on, let me check the delivery thing again. Still nothing. All right, I'm starting to like this quite a lot more. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know about this. 5, 6. Yeah. Yeah, so we need a 7th one. All right, I guess we're playing on the whole it dying or it taking damage. This is so cool now. Finally, it's coming together. Or maybe this is like anytime you enter a battle or come back from death. Maybe this is also when you come back from death, from the dead. Improve damage at the end of the battle. Or maybe like dying improves us even more. Or this is an innate. Do I just want like 10 innate abilities for this? We could have 4 innate abilities for this one character. We have the space for it in the UI. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I think this is a good idea though for this. Maybe this is just a 4th innate ability, and it's the only class with 4. We could probably rearrange some things to get it to work anyway, though. This could turn into a learned ability, or this one could. No, this can't turn into a learned one. It can't. It's too crucial. This one could, though. Every axe attacks go into a frenzy. Yeah, so what if we put this down here? And what if we call this... accelerated regeneration? Heal to full at the end of battle. Instantaneously heal to full at the end of battle. Okay, I like that. So we don't need this. All right, now how does frenzy manifest itself? Yeah, this is pretty decent. So I think there's a little bit of massaging we need to do here, but in general, I think this is looking pretty good. Now, what do we call this class? Or what do they look like? Or what is their theming? I want them to take some inspiration from a phoenix, probably. We could call them something like... We could call him the Berserker. It could be a phoenix. The only potential problem is that I don't know if we'd, or if Quickie Joe would be able to draw a phoenix in 16 by 20. Because I think that's the size of all of our characters, right? $16 by 20, yeah. Well, maybe I'll ask. Although then I think you might wonder, like, should we give the phoenix the ability to fly? So instead of having to walk on the paths, it just goes directly to its target. I don't know. I'm not going to think about that right now. All right, let's go jot this down over here. So this is the Berserker. We have some other abilities I have listed. And what was the last class we just made? The Spirit Caller? Yeah. So final class is a damage dealer. So we call this the Berserker. And we say no picture yet. Damage dealer. Glass cannon. All right, so now we have their innate abilities and their unlocked abilities. Let's name these things. So that was just called heavy attack. Actually, does Berserker imply that they're attacking quickly? Or just that they're berserk while they're doing it? Ancient Norse warrior who fought in a wild frenzy. Wouldn't really say it's a wild frenzy if they're just attacking once every 7 seconds. All right, well, we probably need to rename that then. Okay, so what do we call it? Yeah, heavy attack is probably fine. Overkill, that's fine. This is fine. When at X% life. I'm just going to come up with temporary names for now. Close call. Enter a battle with X% of your cooldowns. Maybe preparedness. Overkill can chain other enemies. We call this improved overkill. Rage. This. Yeah, sure. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Cool. 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 All right. We have the designs for all of the different adventurers now. I think we'll launch the game with 10 adventurers, which would mean you'd have 2 full parties and then 1 party of just 2 adventurers. And I think that'll be good. It's not that adding new adventurers is impossible. It just takes like a week per adventurer. Yeah. I mentioned wanting to publish a demo. I don't know if that's going to happen. All right, so we've done this. And then this will be for Friday, I guess. What else do we have here? Oh man, this thing is super hot. Like I need the heat on my back, but I am way too warm. I think I'm going to try what Matt said and go on a walk. Today was a pretty good day. I feel like I'm recovering from the last, I don't know, couple weeks still. I'm just going to chat for a bit, by the way. I'm not going to probably do any more work. But yeah, last week wasn't super productive, nor was the week before it. And the 2 months leading up to those weeks were fantastic. We like revamped a bunch of systems in the game. We added the farm fishing. We changed adventure progression. There were a whole lot of things that happened. And I'm excited about the changes on the horizon too. I think just polishing the demo, there's not much of that I want to do, to be honest. We have an extra month and a half, so we should spend as much of that time as we can. Be a warlock and then get powers from the Phoenix. I guess it could be a powerful spell they're casting. And it can chain other things. I guess that'd probably make more sense than it attacking a lot of times. Yeah, let me write that down. Note name is tentative. I like the idea of them being a caster and their spell chaining to different enemies. Maybe it's like a Phoenix Mage. No, it can't be Phoenix Mage. I don't know. I don't know what we name it. But I'll have to think about that. Or Druid. I don't think it would fit the typical class fantasy of a Druid. At least not what's been popularized by kind of everything in the last 20 years that has a Druid in it. Yeah. Anyway, I was saying things are pretty much on track. And the next kind of major stuff we're going to work on that isn't just demo polish is going to be launch prep. Things like content, maybe some more localization, controller support. I don't know, moving battle windows around or something. It's going to be a slog. I'm saying that mostly for my own sake. But I remember what it was like launching Botland, and God, it just took forever. Yeah. Okay, well, let's go find someone to raid. Remember, if you are interested in playing Skeleseller or just wishlisting it, there's the link. On Wednesday, I'm going to be on the front page of Twitch, so the view count should be probably higher. I'm just scrolling through my massive list of people I'm following. Every time I raid someone, I follow them so that I know that I raided them. So I'm now following like hundreds of people. All right, let's do this. Let's find someone new. Same category, English. All right, so we're looking for someone I'm not following who has been online for a short amount of time. Yeah, this person. Sounds good. Cool. Let's go check them out. Sorry, I'm just making sure this is muted. Yeah. All right, let's raid them. Thank you all for watching. Oculus, if you're still here, thank you for the raid. Let's hope for a good Wednesday. It's going to be 8 hours of just solid, I don't know, doing something. Probably some coding, probably some game playing. But yeah, I will see you all on Wednesday. Take care. Have a good rest of your day, and see you later.